Hey everyone, this is Tracy and I have a special announcement for you. In an effort to streamline my life and spend more time coaching my clients, I am going to marry my two podcasts. Yep, that's right. Be Well, Be Keto and High Energy Girl are now going to be called High Energy Keto Girl. So we are going to combine both shows, similar modalities, same types of interviews that you absolutely love, but going over the top, more lifestyle practices than just food. Okay. We know that food plays a huge role in our success and our health and well-being, but there's so many other things that I want you to learn about. And today's first show is with Tina Anderson. Tina is the founder of Just Thrive Health. Tina Anderson's journey into the world of health had a unique start in some unusual turns. She began her career as a trial lawyer who specialized in settling cases by bringing both sides together, a personal passion of hers. Once her second child arrived, Tina left that high-stress job behind so that she could focus on her family. Luckily, she was still able to use her considerable legal skills to point her career in a new direction as the in-house counsel for a family pharmaceutical company. But what Tina saw there made her change directions again. Frustrated by the many abuses in the pharmaceutical industry, Tina turned toward the field of natural health and found her life's work. She channeled her energy into learning all she could about disease prevention and good health maintenance. That led her to discover the importance of gut health and how connected and crucial it is for overall health and wellness. To share her discovery with the world, Tina, along with her husband, created a unique supplement that contains the superior probiotic strains of renowned researcher Dr. Simon Cutting. By promoting gut health and probiotics, Tina shares her passion for wellness, helping others live their best physical and emotional lives. So let's go and say hi to Tina. Hey everyone, welcome to High Energy Keto Girl, a podcast helping women to age stronger because it is never too late to get fit, be strong, and feel sexy. I'm your host, Tracy Gluhite, health coach and personal trainer and founder of highenergygirl.com. Each week, we will either have a guest interview, which will provide you encouragement or an actionable tip to help you age stronger, or I will do a solo episode. Please also join our awesome Facebook group called High Energy Girls, and I'm looking forward to see you on the inside of that group and hope you enjoy today's show. Hey everyone, this is Tracy, and I have a special announcement. In order for me to help more women age stronger, I have created a 90-day one-on-one coaching program. And the goal here is to teach women over 50 how to age stronger while burning fat and boosting energy without going hungry or living in the gym. If you'd like more information, please hit me up at tracy@highenergygirl.com or friend me on Facebook and send me a message. I have a goal of transforming 1,000 women in the next year, and I hope you are one of them. Hey, Tina, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Oh, thank you, Tracy. I'm excited to be here.
Well, you are an absolute doll, and I'm really excited to pick your brain on some stuff. So why don't you let the audience know a little bit about you?
Oh, sure. So I have a kind of an interesting journey. I actually started out as a trial attorney. I was in litigation for many years. And then after, seeing all of the crazy hours I worked and all of that, I went into the pharmaceutical industry. And I was able to stay home a little bit more with my children at the time. So that was great. And but I was in the pharmaceutical industry with my husband. And after being in the pharmaceutical industry for many years, we saw a lot of the abuses that were going on. We saw with our own family members, the overprescribing of drugs. In fact, we have one story that always stands out is when we had won this huge bid with one of the largest hospital systems in the country. And the pharmaceutical rep came into our offices and gave my husband a high five and said, "Oh, this is great. We just won this huge bid. And now you know what my job is? My job now is to go to every cardiologist in this hospital system and tell them to lower the number that they recommend, prescribing this medication for." And my husband's like, "Oh my God," like he couldn't believe it. I was like, I was sick to my stomach, and we're like, this is crazy. And then we started thinking about it, and we're like, why are we so shocked? Because we saw this with family members. We have We had one aunt who was, oh my God, she had been on one medication, and then before you know it, for like joint pain, and then she got on one that was on, then that caused her stomach issues, and stomach issues caused, a rash on her skin. And then, it was like within a couple months, she was on a dozen different pharmaceuticals, and she was still so sick. And so it was like, we just realized we weren't doing our life's work, and we weren't doing something that was the way we lived our lives. We were very natural people. We really focused on a more holistic lifestyle. Obviously now we're even more so, but at the time we were even pretty holistic. And so we just said, you know what, we've got to do our life's work. We read a lot of Wayne Dyer, Norman Vincent Peale. We're very deep thinkers. And we just knew we weren't doing our life's work. So we went a lot of different avenues until one day, we couldn't believe it, but we were offered the exclusive rights to these groundbreaking probiotic strains. And so they were licensed. We licensed them from London University, and Dr. Simon Cutting out of London University Royal Holloway. And then from there, Just Thrive was born. And it's been the most gratifying thing I've ever done in my whole life by far. As far as career-wise, it's been incredible. So it's been really fun.
And what year was that?
That was 2014 is when we launched the product. 2013 is when we, kind of formed our company, but we actually didn't launch the product till about 2014.
So it was like all of a sudden you're in all medicine, Western, blah, 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 blah. And then bam, you just make a shift.
We made a shift. Yes. We left this thriving pharmaceutical, successful business to do something that was really, really important to us.
That is so
really
cool.
Different. Yeah, it's really cool. I always encourage people, follow your heart, follow what you want to do, because it all falls into place when you do that. And it's just been the stories that, I'm doing a whole bunch of home remodeling right now. And it's like, I'm cleaning out closets, and I'm finding these handwritten notes I've saved from customers, saying how it's changed their lives. And it's really amazing.
So how did you get into gut health? Did you have any health challenges, or what put you into that holistic space?
Yeah. You know what? I didn't have any gut issues, and either did my husband or our children. So that's kind of interesting that we started learning about the gut. We learned about the importance of it. This was shortly after the Human Microbiome Project was launched by the National Institutes of Health. It told us more about the gut than we ever knew before. And we knew that really what people were doing to take care of their gut wasn't really effective, based on this new science. And so, yeah, it really wasn't based on our own, health journey. Fortunately, we did not have many digestive issues, but we now know that the gut is so much more than just digestive issues. We know the gut is responsible for virtually every aspect of our overall health. And that was more the research we were doing. And we were, pharma is so focused on treatment. We wanted to focus on prevention. We wanted to focus on what can we bring to people that could actually help them live a healthier, longer, more, meaningful life and feel good as they age.
So I would argue that a teeny bit. I believe that pharma is focused on a Band-Aid for a symptom rather than treating the root cause of what's actually causing that symptom.
Right. And you're absolutely right. So, we always say exactly, it's like it's the Band-Aid for the symptom, and they're always focusing on this treatment, and, they're not focusing on getting to the root cause at all. They're never focusing on that. So I couldn't agree with you more. We're maybe just saying it in different ways.
Yeah, no, I am. My parents have been on multiple medications for as long as I can remember. So I'm a big oh my God, I can't believe it. So I know that the gut is huge. So tell me some stuff that you said a minute ago that people don't understand, and they treat it the wrong way. What does that mean exactly?
Yeah, well, I think people don't realize that the gut, you think people have gas and bloating or diarrhea, constipation, indigestion, those types of things. People kind of associate that with gut imbalance or gut issues. But nobody's thinking about, or most people don't think about, that there's this huge gut-brain connection. So we have, 90% of our serotonin is produced in our gut. Our dopamine is produced in our gut. So there's this communication superhighway called the vagus nerve. It's the biggest communication highway between your gut and your brain. And there is a lot, there's that saying, trust your gut, or, I've got butterflies in my stomach. And those are all real things because there's this huge communication going on between your gut and your brain. So people aren't thinking about if they have anxiety, depression, Alzheimer's, dementia, any of those types of things, that is all stemming from the gut. And same thing with like skin issues. People aren't thinking about like acne, or psoriasis, eczema, things like that. Skin issues are all stemming from the gut. That's where, it's actually hard to find any disease that does not stem from an imbalance in your gut. Pretty much every disease, from cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's, dementia, and autoimmune disease for sure, stems from your gut. And so all of these types of diseases are actually stemming from an imbalance in your gut. And they're really, for many years, people were using probiotics to help them with their gut. And the problem is many of the probiotics on the market were based on the old science, the science that we used to know before the Human Microbiome Project came out. And so that was what I meant by, people weren't necessarily doing the right thing. There's lots of things people do, fermented foods and things like that, which are great, but they don't replace a true probiotic that gets to the intestines alive and things like that.
So what do we do about that? Like, my focus is on aging stronger and, feeling amazing as I get down that pathway. What do I do?
Yeah. Well, the first thing you do is you get lots of sleep. So that's really important. I don't mean like crazy amounts of sleep, but, you make sure you're getting the adequate sleep that you need. Of course, that is the most important thing, is we can't ever underestimate our sleep. And then, we take care, and that's something that you do by taking care of your gut, is getting enough sleep, drinking enough water, those types of things. And then, taking a high quality probiotic is key. I mean, your gut is where you start with health. It's ground zero, because if you are inflamed at all, if you have inflammation going on in your gut, you're not absorbing nutrients. So you could be taking certain supplements or eating super clean, nutrient dense food, but if your gut is inflamed, it's not absorbing those nutrients. So the number one thing to do is to take care of your gut. And by the way you do that is by taking a high quality probiotic. And the ones that we recommend are spore-based probiotics. So spore-based probiotics are very different than most probiotics on the market. The reason they're called spore-based is they have this endospore shell around themselves that protects them. So when they're in their spore state, they're dormant. And it's not until they hit the intestines that they take their shell off, and that's when they go into their live vegetative cell state, and that's when they're alive. So just to be defined as a probiotic, it needs to arrive alive. It doesn't need to be alive in the refrigerator. That's not necessary. I mean, that's such a myth out there with probiotics. People think, oh, it needs to be in the refrigerator because that means it's a good probiotic. It means it's a live culture. Well, it doesn't need to be alive in the refrigerator, because if it needs to be in the refrigerator, it means it can't withstand the room temperature of the store shelf. So how in the heck is it going to survive your body temperature, which is 98.6? And the answer is it doesn't. So really, when you see a probiotic in the refrigerator, it's actually a sign of a weak probiotic because it can't withstand the room temperature. So the strains, the spore-based probiotics are very different. They're actually dormant when they're found in the soil originally. That's where they were found years and years ago. And then right now, they're found in capsules. And when they're in the capsule, they're dormant. And it's not till they hit the intestines that they become alive. They take their shell off and they become alive.
Awesome. Okay. And that's funny because my son's girlfriend has a thing of probiotics in the refrigerator. And then when yours came, she's like, well, why don't these need to be refrigerated? And then I said, well, I remember, I don't know if it was on your label or something, but I think it says if it can't survive outside the refrigerator, how's it going to survive inside your 98-degree body,
Exactly. And then when you tell someone that, they're like, oh, that makes sense. I get it. Exactly.
So tell me, okay, so I know that you guys have do you have 4 products right now?
My gosh, it's like we've got our probiotic, our prebiotic, K2, our IgG. Yes.
Okay. So tell me all the differences. What is each one good for?
Okay. So the probiotic is great for rebalancing your gut, reconditioning your gut. So if I can compare that to a garden analogy. So if you compare your garden to, or your gut to your garden. And the garden is like stepped on and trampled on, and there's weeds growing all over that garden. The probiotic goes into that garden. It attaches to the soil, so it attaches to your intestinal cell wall, and then it grabs onto the weeds. It actually gets rid of the weeds in the garden, and so it gets rid of like the pathogenic bacteria in your gut. And then the probiotic goes and it helps bring those plants that have been stepped on and trampled on back to life. So it's actually creating compounds and nutrients in your gut to bring your good bacteria back to life. And that's why it's so effective, because it's actually taking the bacteria that's already there and helping it thrive. And, and you've got now this lush garden of like good, healthy plants, good, healthy bacteria, and, not none of the weeds, or not as many of the weeds as you had before. So it's really reconditioning. And we have a study on our strains showing that it actually caused a 30% favorable shift in the gut within 2 weeks. I mean, that's profound. So within 2 weeks, you're seeing that garden getting cleaned up by 30%. And that's, like I said, only after 2 weeks. Our prebiotic, oh yeah, go ahead.
So is that the one you take 2 a day or 1 a day?
1 a day. So
okay.
You just a day. Yep. 1 a day with food. Time of day doesn't matter. Just take it with food. It works better. We have a study. Everything we do is based on research and science. So recommend you take it with food. We have a study that showed that it increased, it germinated throughout the intestines with the food. So,
okay.
Then we have our prebiotic. So if you go back to that garden analogy, the prebiotic is the food in the garden. So one of the problems that people experience with prebiotics is prebiotics feed bacteria. They just don't know how to distinguish between good bacteria or bad bacteria. And so we search far and wide. It would be logical, we're a probiotic company or gut health company, that we would have a prebiotic, but we didn't launch a prebiotic right away because we couldn't find prebiotic fibers that were only targeting good bacteria. So these prebiotic fibers that we chose are actually only feeding the beneficial bacteria in the gut. So they're not feeding those weeds in the garden. So they go into that garden and they're feeding the good bacteria or the good plants and bringing them, making them flourish even more. And then we have our IgG product, which is really exciting. IgG is an immunoglobulin. And immunoglobulins are an antibody, and it's the largest antibody in your system, immunoglobulin G. And the role of IgG the antibodies is to bind and neutralize toxins in your body and safely remove them from the body. So it is a great, people who are trying to deal with mold issues. Environmental toxins. We're all faced with environmental toxins every day, mold toxins. And it's just a great product. We launched it just a couple months ago, and it has been, I was shocked because I know most people had never heard of IgG. And we sold out already, and we just thankfully got a new shipment in this week. So it's been crazy how many people are starting to learn about the importance of IgG, and unfortunately, we're in a world that is so, toxic to our gut health, and yet our gut health, we are now learning, is so important to us. So, and the other thing about the way we don't bring products to the market unless they are missing in the market and truly needed in the market. So we believe in, I'm a huge fan of vitamin C. I love vitamin C. There's lots of companies doing vitamin C really well out there. We're not a supplement line to just bring like a whole bunch of different supplements to, the audience or to the customers. We are really focused on bringing products that are researched. We have a double-blind human clinical trial on our probiotic. We have 12 other ongoing clinical trials going on right now. We are focused on research and elevating that standard in the supplement industry on research. And they're on our strains, like our actual formulation, which is definitely very different. And then we have our vitamin K27 product. And vitamin K27 is not a gut health supplement, although the gut does produce vitamin K2. Vitamin K2's role in the body is to remove calcium from the arteries and put it into the bone. That is the job of vitamin K2. It is so important for gut health or for heart health and bone health. There are crazy studies on it. There was a study done by Rotterdam University on vitamin K2 saying that they took 4,200 patients, some crazy on that amount of patients, over a 10-year period, gave them 45 micrograms of vitamin K2 and noticed a 50% reduction in arterial calcification, 50% reduction in heart disease, And here's what was shocking, a 25% reduction in all-cause mortality. So really, really important for aging. So vitamin K2, I don't know why people aren't talking about it more, because it is such an essential nutrient. I always say, like, ground zero is your gut health, but vitamin K2 can literally save people's lives, because you're literally removing plaque and calcium from the arteries and putting it onto the bone. So,
and that's a new thing that people are getting their arterial calcification score, right? Isn't that a new test that a lot of people are doing?
Yes, I think I've heard that too. Yes, I have not had that done, but yes, I have heard that.
You know what I would do if I were you is I would find who's doing those tests and talk to them about your product, because that way you guys can form like a really cool partnership, right?
Yes. And then see what happens before and after. I mean, I've had that with family members where the cardiologist was like, I don't know what you're doing, but it's amazing. And it's also great, for kids too, because kids with growing bones, it's really important for kids to have a lot of vitamin K2, because they're growing bones, their teeth, their jaws structuring and all of that. Or if you have a broken bone, my son's friend had and my niece actually had a broken ankle, and we started giving her the K2, and her doctor was like, oh my God, I cannot believe how quickly you've recovered from this. And it's really great for your bone health. So, and the problem is, what people don't know is, like, vitamin D, vitamin D is the darling of the medical community, and vitamin D is really important. The problem is when we're taking high doses of vitamin D, it increases your body's demand for vitamin K2. So really important. If you're taking vitamin D, you need to be taking vitamin K2.
Yeah, I heard that you were supposed to do like a 10-to-1 ratio of D3 and K2.
Yeah, yep. But really, the K2, there's no, vitamin D can be toxic. And we know that you should be testing your levels of vitamin D, because, there is vitamin D toxicity. With vitamin K2, there's no known lethal dosage for vitamin K2. So it's, you could take, and all the studies are showing 300 micrograms or higher are really the therapeutic dose for showing some pretty incredible results. So, but that study that I told you about was only 45 micrograms.
And how long, can you send me a link to that study so I can post it on the show notes page?
Definitely. Yep. It's the Rotterdam study, and it's probably even on our website.
And how long was that study for?
10 years. 10 years.
So how long would it take for a person that's taking the K2 to actually be able to see? So if we did like our own little, study, our little N=1, if I did a calcification score, took the product, then how soon after that would you recommend getting another test?
I would everyone obviously is different. So, but I would say give it 3 to 6 months or so and see what happens. Maybe sooner, but I would say 3 to 6 months just to see.
Okay. Yeah, I would be curious about that. That's awesome, because I know that, coming out of pharma, that what are they doing? They're giving people the statin drugs. And one of the girls I had on my show was a nurse practitioner, and she said, why are we putting out the firefighters instead of the fire?
That's right. Yeah, exactly. And, heart disease, statins are at an all-time high for they're prescribed at an all-time high. And yet heart disease is at an all-time high. It's crazy. There's no decrease in heart disease with all these statins. Statins, I could not agree with you more. It's like, why are we getting rid of the firefighters? Exactly.
Yeah. So which one of your products is in the powder form? All I did was just take what I'm supposed to take, and I really wasn't reading the labels. I was just going to wait and talk to you.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. The prebiotic is in the powder form.
Okay. And which ones do you need to take with food? All of them, or just the probiotic?
The probiotic you take with food, the prebiotic you take with the prebiotic you don't have to take with food, but you can. It doesn't matter. And then the K2 take with food, like high fat especially, would be great. And then the IgG take with foods. So,
okay. And so IgG, does that have something to do with when they do food sensitivity testing?
Yeah, because the antibiotics are, helping get rid of all those toxins. So I believe so. I'm not really really familiar with food sensitivity testing, but I know that the antibodies are what they're testing. So, and this is an antibody. The IgG is the biggest antibody that we have in our system.
So I'm going to figure this out because I'm really into the food sensitivity testing right now. And I know that they do something with that. And there's got to be a way that we can help people restore their gut health after the test by eliminating those foods and then adding in these products to clean up the damage done.
Right, exactly. And, we have the leaky gut study on our probiotic is really, it's unbelievable. So I don't know if you're familiar or your audiences are familiar with LPS toxins, but LPS toxins are toxins that are they're found in our gut, and they really aren't problematic. It's not till they seep out into the bloodstream. And that's what causes that inflammatory response by our immune system. And so we know that people with food sensitivities, people with allergies, people with autoimmune diseases have a leaky gut. Basically, they know that those LPS toxins are seeping into the bloodstream. We know that heightened LPS levels are the number one driver for Alzheimer's. We know heightened LPS levels are, the number one indicator for autoimmune disease, food allergies, food sensitivities. The study that we did with these strains in Just Thrive actually showed that after 30 days of being on the product, being on these strains, it actually reduced LPS toxins by 42%. And that was only over a 30-day period, 42% reduction. And I mean, that's crazy. And so it's literally helping seal those tight junctions. That's what leaky gut is. It's like the opening up of the tight junctions. And so these strains are literally helping us seal the tight junctions.
Wow. That is amazing. That is so good. And so what do you think about gluten?
Oh, I think it's problematic for a lot of people. It's very problematic for a lot of people. And in fact, I don't want to give it away, but that's our new product that we've got out. We got another product coming, so stay tuned. But I definitely think it's very problematic. Obviously for some people it's more problematic, but I don't think it's, it's a problem. And we do know that these strains are actually helping people, these strains help modulate the immune system. So they're actually helping your immune system, tutor the immune system to react a little bit more favorably to foods that you don't otherwise, I'm not telling people to it's going to cure an allergy, because of course it will not do that. But we've noticed that people say, I'm gluten intolerant, but since I've been taking your product, I'm able, I may miss up and I don't have as bad of a reaction as I used to have. So, so we definitely want to, avoid gluten as much as possible.
Well, you know what zonulin is?
Yeah, I do know what zonulin is, but I'm having
Zonulin's in gluten and it creates leaky gut. So that is one of the things. Plus you can't digest the protein fully. And so it's only with protein peptides. So that's, that creates a lot of inflammation as well.
Yep.
I'm a big proponent of no gluten for everyone. I didn't have any reaction. Well, let me go like this. I didn't have any symptoms. And then I got a stool test for food sensitivities just so I could show my clients what it's like, right? And anything over 10 came out positive for gluten sensitivity. I was 178. And symptom-free.
Wow.
Symptom-free. And so the lab recommended a permanent and strict gluten-free diet.
Wow, that's crazy.
I know.
The only thing, and I wonder, it's interesting that you don't have any symptoms, but I do have some issues sometimes with stool testing, because the stool test sometimes it's saying that you take the city of Chicago and you go to the south side of Chicago and you say that represents Chicago, when it really, they get a sampling of your stool and they don't really, it's like a snapshot, but it's not the whole entire system. So I sometimes worry about that, but.
Well, what do you think's better?
Unfortunately, I don't think that there is a solution yet for a stool test right now, the way it is right now.
No, as far as what is your favorite food sensitivity test? Because Viome right now is another company that's blowing up, and they do it via stool as well.
Right. And I'm not saying that like it's not it may as well, you guys could, people could do it. I just don't think it's always extremely accurate because I don't think it's giving you a full picture. And so I've had people come to me and say, like, we speak at a lot of autism events, and autism, kids on a spectrum have lots of gut dysbiosis, and it's been the most gratifying thing ever going and speaking there. And I've had, moms come up to me and say, the stool test said that my son has no lactobacillus. And it's like, well, chances are your son has lactobacillus. It's like, it's just that it's a snapshot. And I think it doesn't give a full picture. So I don't really think there is a test out there that's going to give a full, I do listen to food sensitivity tests. I mean, I don't have one that I necessarily recommend. I just think we have to be careful with stool tests because I don't think it gives an entire picture of it. I think it gives you a snapshot.
Well, what I usually do for my clients is we do blood tests, and I found a lab in the UK that I prefer because they test on 4 different strains instead of just like one, and they're more reasonably priced. And so when you said that you got your probiotic strain from the UK, I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool.
Hey, you never know. Maybe they're all working together.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. Europe is ahead of us.
Yeah, no, I mean, these strains that Just Thrive have been used in Asia and Europe for 40, actually, no, more like 60 years they've been used. So, it's like we were the first company to bring it to the U.S. supplement market. And, it's like, and it was fighting an uphill battle because there's been like one story about probiotics. And that's still, to this day, it's still 95% of the probiotics on the market are made up of what we used to, they're based on what we used to know. But yes, Asia and Europe have been using these strains for 60 years, with great success. So I agree, they are ahead.
So how did you guys get so lucky that you were the ones who got exclusive rights? Did you know the guy or?
No, my husband's chiropractor, they have been talking for years and years. And I think they were interested in working. We had been all talking about trying to do something in the more natural. Obviously the chiropractor was already working in that space. And it's crazy because some major players had tried to purchase the exclusive rights to these strains, but this Dr. Simon Cutting did not want them to shelve that product. He didn't want them to buy them and shelve them because those major players owned other probiotic companies. They had spent billions of dollars on marketing and research, and they said, and he was just afraid that they were going to, shelve them and not be out there for people. But I always say, I mean, it was really through prayer, meditation, affirmations. That's how we were able to, because I ask myself that every day. How did I get to do this? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm just very grateful. And it was so funny when we were trying to decide whether or not we were going to do this. We were on this amazing trip with our kids to Italy, and we went over to the island of Capri to spend the day. And we're walking around and we ran into Dr. Oz, and I'm like, oh my God, this isn't a sign. And so we both went up. When I said I've been cleaning out drawers and stuff, I found the picture of us with Dr. Oz. And so it was so funny and I'm like, that is a sign. And so I just felt I just believe in that. You visualize it, you believe it, you say your affirmations and your prayers and all that. And it all came to fruition. So, we were that day we saw him and we called the people we were deciding whether or not to do it. And we said, we're doing it. We're in. This was slapping us in our face. We got to do this. So
that is awesome. I am very much into the law of attraction. So I do my meditation and my Qigong almost every day. I'm Reiki. I mean, I'm into all of that. So that's why, see that?
Yes.
It says I lost the keys to my imagination. Now my unicorn won't start.
That's awesome. I love it. Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah. And then I love this one. It says, you've always had the power, my dear. You just had to learn it for yourself.
Oh,
it's Glenda.
Don't you just tell that message to everybody? I mean, every woman out there, just go for it. Just do it.
Yeah. You're going to make me cry.
So
how can everyone find you, Tina?
You know what? At justthrivehealth.com. So, or we're on Instagram at Just Thrive Health, Facebook, Just Thrive, any of those ways. We love talking to our customers. So we've got an awesome team, and it's just you'll love talking to anybody on our team.
Oh gosh, I am so excited for you and to be able to meet you, and just want to thank you so much for the products. I am really excited to test out that theory with the K2, or that, not theory, but I mean, you studied it. So that's really exciting to do. So thank you.
Yeah, you are welcome. Thank you for having me on, Tracy. I was so excited to be here.
Well, that was an awesome show, and I actually learned some good stuff, especially about the K2. That was remarkable. So I'm super excited that you listened to our first debut episode today of the new Married podcast, High Energy Keto Girl. I'm looking forward to spending more time with you, covering all kinds of different aspects of health and wellness, and still sharing stories of ordinary people with extraordinary results. So thank you so much for listening, you guys. For complete show notes, head on over to highenergygirl.com. This podcast contains the opinion and thoughts of its host and guests. It is intended to provide helpful and informative material on the subjects covered. All statements made on the podcast have not been evaluated by the FDA and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. If the listener requires professional assistance or advice, please contact your personal medical doctor. Both host and guest specifically disclaim any responsibility for any liability, loss, or risk, personal or otherwise, which is incurred as a consequence directly or indirectly of the use and application of any of the contents of these episodes. Like I said, this is my opinion and I could be wrong.